Hello, friend. Thank you for pressing play on this episode of the Brassy Broadcast. I am back in the studio with our good friend, Amy Woodall, and we are into episode 5 of our series on enlightenment in the modern world. Amy, welcome back.
Hey, thanks. We have been flying through. It's fun. How have you been enjoying the meditation techniques?
I'm getting a lot out of them. And I have to say, we're basically recording this series in one day. And I'm still feeling really good and energized. And I feel like that these little meditations that we've done have kind of really helped keep that energy and that focus going.
Good. It's kind of like life hacks in a way, right? So as listeners go back and if they're listening to these various episodes, each of these techniques is kind of specific to those situations that you might be dealing with. And so it's great to have those in your back pocket just to kind of pull them up and put them to use.
Keep these episodes downloaded on your phone and easily accessible. In this episode, we are talking about harnessing happiness. Can we start this episode off just by talking about some of the myths around happiness?
Yeah. I don't know if you feel this way or not, but oftentimes I think that we believe happiness lies in events.
Yes. Or that it's a destination.
And we hit on that a little bit in the Power Up Performance episode.
Mm-hmm.
But happiness just kind of feels like it's something that is on the calendar or it's just sort of like we're always trying to get there. Mm-hmm. And I think that the myth is that it lies somewhere else outside of us.
Yes.
And I know that might sound a little esoteric and a little frou-frou in some ways. And some of you might be like, yes, I love this. And some might be looking at it with some skepticism. But in truth, happiness and joy, which is an emotion that, let's be honest, it feels pretty damn good.
Yes, it does.
When we're in a happy state or a joyful state, it feels pretty good. It's something that we can access at any point in time if we're intentional about it, if we choose to do so. And so really the myth is that it lies somewhere else out there. It lies in your weight. It lies in that vacation coming down the pipeline. It lies in the promotion, in the money, in the bank account. Those are the lies that we tell ourselves that end up delaying happiness.
Or what about in that other person?
And yes, that's such a good one. So often, and I think we talked about this a little bit the last episode, which is we make other people responsible for our happiness. And when I do trainings for clients, this always really freaks people out when I do, or I'll do these talks, for organizations, and I'll hold something in my hand, like a pen or a marker, and I find somebody in the audience and I hand it to them and I say, this is my happiness. Don't do anything stupid to screw it up.
Oh my God.
And if you could see Jen's look on her face, she has this look of shock, and that's what they do too. And they're like, and the people just sort of hold it like it's a newborn baby, like, oh crap, what do I do with this thing? And I say, this is what we're doing all day long to people without recognizing it, is that we're handing over our happiness and saying, don't say or do anything stupid, or you're going to completely disrupt how I feel about today and you and the rest of this life. And how unfair is that?
Oh my God.
That's so much responsibility.
Just with you sitting across the table from me and giving me this pen, I'm like, oh, it kind of freaked me out.
Yeah. And I think for the listeners, consider, where are you doing this? Do you do it to your spouse?
Guilty.
Me too, right? We sort of are like, okay, well, based on how thoughtful you are, it's like I'm gonna put my happiness in your hands, and we just sort of expect people to read our mind, and we're disappointed when they can't. And so that's one of the things that's the robbers of happiness, and it's not their fault,
right? Yeah,
it is totally on us because we unknowingly put that responsibility on them, and they unknowingly are holding it in their hands, right? And so there's a lot of unknowing happening, and that's a scary place to be. And so taking it back. Visualize taking the pen or the marker, or I'm holding a pen in my hands right now, ladies and gentlemen, taking it back and saying, I own this. From the moment I get up to the moment I go to sleep, I own this. And how I give it away is up to me, and no one else is to blame for that. I think that just that mindset in itself is, I know I use the word powerful a lot, but I feel like it earns that title.
That does.
It's a powerful shift in how you show up for other people.
I never, ever thought of it in those terms. But you're so right about it. It's that simple. Like it is that, I think that's what's so, I don't know what the word, shocking. That's what is so shocking about it, that it is that easy to give it away.
Yeah.
That's our joy.
It is.
It's that easy to give your joy away and put it in somebody else's hands. Like I am owning that.
Yeah. And the small things that we allow to do it. And by the way, this is not about becoming this perfect person who never gives their joy whenever and is just so great to be around. I mean, but it's merely the awareness of when we're doing it. And when we're aware, we can shift faster. That's really what this entire podcast series is really about, is just developing this new level of awareness through mindfulness and meditation. So I'll give you an example. Last week, I was at a coffee shop that many of you know and probably spend half of your paychecks at, like I do. And they got my order wrong. And I was just ruminating and how like upset I was. Like, how dare them? I spent $6. And, you know, I'm not going, like and I gave my happiness away to that poor barista. I don't know. I'm not saying their name right because they never say my name right. So there. But I gave my happiness away. And now thinking back at it, I'm like, oh, I feel silly.
Yeah.
Because I don't know who gave this quote. So hopefully someone knows out there. But, if small things are what have power over us, that's what we are, is small.
I've never heard that.
And I butchered it. That's not the exact quote, but essentially it's like, okay, that's also one of those reminders of like, ooh, don't be a small human being right now. Because in the grand scheme of life, that's really not important. Or the person that cuts you off, don't give away your happiness to them, or whatever it is. We all have our own, the triggers again that come to that, but being mindful of that and then making the shift as quickly as you can just helps you get back to that joy state, the happiness state that is always there whenever we're looking to access it.
Wow. Let's talk about framing our day and owning that joy from the moment we wake up. How do you go about that?
There's some techniques out there, or even just some focus that it's popular. I mean, I'm sure that you've practiced gratitude. And by the way, I really want to hit home to anybody that is listening that this is not about being just the happiest human being, like, ooh, life is all rainbows and butterflies and there's never anything wrong, but understanding, hey, how can I get back to center? How can I get back to okay? Gratitude is one of the fastest ways to get there. When you're unhappy, when we're in a state of just frustration or stress or anger or whatever it is, you're probably also in a state of ego. Jerry is at play. We're probably also in a state of selfishness, which is it's all about me right now. And so I'm not considering anything else. So when we're unhappy, we're probably a little too self-focused. And so considering things to be grateful for, and you can just start literally from your feet to the top of your head and just say, I'm so grateful I have shoes on my feet. I'm so grateful that I have a car that I'm driving in. If you're sitting in your car, I'm grateful I have something to get me around. I'm so grateful for the clothes that I have that, maybe it's not the most expensive brand out there. Maybe it's not the greatest, but it's what I need. And just going sort of through the simplest of things to help shift the perspective. Because we can get caught up in keeping up with the Joneses, or I'll be happy when, or handing the happiness away, just all of the methods in which we do this, but just really focusing on the simple things is what kind of gets our mind back in the right place.
I have found that really works well for me when I wake up, and especially if I know I've got a super hectic day. So I have that meditation piece, and it's only it's for 10 minutes. That's what I can commit to and feel good about. But a piece of that is, what are the 10 things that I just wake up and feel grateful for? And a lot of times it's the really, it feels like basic things, but when I wake up, just the act of waking up, we're starting the day off okay. That's good.
Yeah.
Good to wake up.
Step one in living your life.
Wake
up.
and just, I'm healthy today. It is basic stuff, but man, if there was a shift in either one of those things, that would throw a wrench.
Yeah. You know, something else to keep in mind, you bring up a good point, is that when the simple things go away,
Mm-hmm.
you know, we recognize that we took them for granted.
Yes.
Right? We take our health for granted until we're sick. And then
Exactly.
all we want is our health. You know, we take our partner for granted until they're gone. And then all we want, you know, so it's just being grateful while we have it helps us recognize really how lucky we are. And I have to say, if you're sitting in the United States or, you know, we have really a pretty good life. Not that we don't have hardships, not that there aren't things that make our life stressful, but in the grand scheme, it could be so much worse. It really could.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I feel grateful every day when I get to wake up and meditate and count my blessings. I mean, it's literally counting my blessings.
Yeah, that's a great practice for some people. And I would love to hear from listeners, whether they hit us up on LinkedIn or share what are your gratitude practices, because some folks might have this already, and maybe it's writing them down because journaling is a powerful practice, or maybe it is utilizing a gratitude technique where you're just sort of feeling the gratefulness that happens, or maybe you make it a practice to tell someone every day to write a thank you letter, or I'm thinking about you, or send a text and say, I just want you to know how much you mean to me. And the small things that we can take for granted, to just be intentional about practicing them, not only shifts our day, but you'd be surprised how really transformative it is for someone else too.
Are we going to call that our happiness hack?
That
right
could
there?
be the happiness hack. I like that. Happiness hack. I had such a nice email from a client yesterday who said, I've been to so many trainings and this is by far the best. And I'm not saying that to brag on myself, guys. I just want to give a shout out to that client who took the time to say that, because I think we think these things, but it's uncomfortable sometimes to share like emotional stuff. And so we choose not to.
Exactly.
But wow, it's impactful, and people remember that, and we feel better. If you've ever paid for somebody's cup of coffee that was in line behind you, you walked away feeling like, wow, I feel good. I hope that helped that person's day. So happiness hack, if you're feeling unhappy, do something nice for someone else, pay it forward, send them a nice message, write a thank you note, and then just see how you feel afterwards.
I love that. In addition to the happiness hack, are there any other recommendations that you have of how to shift if maybe we've given our joy away? How do we get it back?
If you just close your eyes or find a quiet space and just repeat the word thank you, and hitting that word 15 to 20 times is something I would recommend to folks. If you're like, I need an attitude adjustment, I'm going to need a timeout here. That's just a really simple act. Because even if you can't think of anything to be grateful for, which by the way, it's there, just look for it. Just the repeating the word thank you kind of helps shift the energy. And so I won't necessarily walk you through this technique, but for listeners, it's just a simple close your eyes and start to repeat thank you, thank you. Thank you. And you'll start to even notice how your voice will soften as you're continuing to say it. You could say it out loud. You could say it, quietly, but there's a shift in body and energy. So that's a great technique. Or to sort of piggyback on the visualization technique that we utilized in the Power Up Performance episode would be visualize yourself sort of being grateful or, being around things or people that you love, and just sit with a level of gratitude. Gratitude is an emotion. You can evoke emotions at any point in time. Just takes a little bit of attention.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for this episode. And friends, thank you for listening. We want to hear from you to continue this discussion. We want to know what your gratitude practices are, or how you get your joy back when you've unintentionally given it away. Let us know what resonated with you in this episode. You can connect with us on LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn at Jen Edds, EDDS. Amy Woodall is also out there as Amy Woodall. Message us. Let us know that you listened to the episode. Share it on LinkedIn. Tag us. But most importantly, if you know somebody else that will benefit from hearing this, do not bogart this message. share it with them. You can share links straight from Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcasting app. Thanks for listening. Now get out in the world and do some good.